It's me. It's me. It's PLD.
And I'm Richard Jarvi.
Damn, rolling the tongue today, huh? And I'm Matty Gunner, and this is Class Action. That was a nice little transition we had now.
You like that? Did you like that?
Yeah.
It was different.
My son made the new opening thing there, that little intro bit there, and I just added some transitions to it. So yeah,
nice. Child labor.
Cool. It was cool.
Definitely childhood labor.
Change it up.
Absolutely. Always something new here. Always something new. What's going on, guys? Welcome to the classiest show on the interwebs. This is Jarvi's show. Let's be honest. This is all about Richard-Erik Jarvi today.
Yeah. This is so we didn't have to buy Jarvi a Christmas present.
Correct. This is his Christmas present.
Well, I'm happy. Thank you, guys.
Anytime. Jarvi, how excited are you, my friend?
I'm so excited. I've seen Avatar: The Way of Water twice now. I'm going in for a third time this weekend. And man, I am pumped. Can't believe we have two James Cameron movies going head to head. So this is going to be super special. Also, PLD, happy fucking birthday, bro. It was 17th of December. It was your birthday.
Thank you. Thank you. Really appreciate that. I spent a lot of time drinking and eating and drinking. And somehow I snuck in a viewing of Way of Water, and I will say very interesting, but more interesting to me is I'm going to break the bit a little bit. How are you feeling that you've heard PJ say he actually likes the movie?
Dude, that's insane. What happened to PJ? Has he entered his Avatar body? Has he been getting the Quaritch treatment? What is going on? Who is he? And honestly, I don't want to know what happened to the old PJ. Keep the new one. He's awesome.
I woke up and I saw the message from PJ saying that he liked the movie, and I was like, "What the fuck? What happened? What happened to PJ? What is going on?
What is going on?
What kind of world did I wake up in?"
Well, let's be honest. It is a good movie. I won't lie either. It is a good movie. I wasn't thrilled. I was kind of in between PJ and Jarvi. I kind of was one of those. I was not very excited about the second one. I thought the first one was pretty forgettable, but I did rewatch it. Enjoyed it more than I remembered, and I watched the second one and was pleasantly surprised that I did highly enjoy it. I don't think it's a perfect movie, but it is a great blockbuster of the type that we don't usually get outside of our Marvel or our Star Wars. It's kind of nice to see just a big old-fashioned blockbuster done well.
And on tours blockbuster.
If you will.
Right.
Yes. James Cameron may be a dick, but he knows how to make a movie. Let's be honest.
Did you hear what he did to some of the fans who booed him?
Oh, I saw that. I saw the video. He flipped them off out the car window.
He just flipped the fans off. They booed him, and he was like, some fans said, "Fuck Avatar." I would probably do the same. He just went like this when he drove away.
Yeah, I heard there were actually supposedly reports where they were autograph hunters, for eBay and shit like that.
That's what I heard. That
it might not have been
trying to get his autograph to sell on eBay, and that's why they were like, "Fuck Avatar," blah blah blah.
Yeah. Oh well, what are you gonna do? He made a great movie. He made a good movie. That's all I got to say about that. We are discussing Avatar versus Avatar: The Way of Water. If you didn't see the thumbnail, if you didn't get that from the title, we will be spoiling The Way of Water. So if you haven't seen The Way of Water, you might want to put this on pause a little bit, because we do have 6 custom-made categories today. 6 big custom-made categories.
We're going big. We're going
big. We're going so big. In fact, we are going to skip the Ed Harris game today.
Yeah, because we have 6 categories. We kind of have to.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't like the idea. I'm kind of annoyed by it, honestly. I told you guys backstage. I kind of wish we
talked about this backstage. We got a big show. We can't do it this week.
I will let it go.
Mate, but we gotta.
I will let it go. I will try to let Mr. Harris know, Sir Lord Harris, that it wasn't your fault. It wasn't my fault.
He got knighted. Sure. When did Ed Harris get knighted?
I have knighted him because he fucking deserves it. So,
Sir Lord, Your Honor, Ed Harris.
Put some respect in that on his name. So we're gonna get right into our show, right into the meat of right into the trial, as it were. We have 6 custom-made categories, as I mentioned. We're gonna mention them now. 1, better hero duo. Of course, in this case, it's Worthless and Zoe in both movies, and better music, better score, better effects, better visual effects, better villain. So basically, the better Quaritch. Maybe some other people you can throw in there as well. Better premise, better story, basically, and finally, in honor of the return of Action Movie Anatomy, in case you missed it, Action Movie Anatomy did return to the action guys last night. They did a redo of Air Force One, and it was great to see the boys back. It was great to see the boys back in action, and they looked like they were having a blast. We had a blast. It was a lot of fun. So we had to add Fist Pump back in honor, because that's where we came from in the beginning. So, Alan Smithy with a hot take incoming. Is that from us, Alan, or is that from you? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, I guess.
I mean, it truly is Christmas. AMA is back, and James Cameron brought Avatar 2 to cinema. So it's a freaking win-win.
2022 is the year of Jarvi.
The year of Jarvi. Unfortunately, it means
it hasn't been so far, but
it's the December of Jarvi. How about that? Is that closer to the point? Okay.
The season of Jarvi.
The Christmas of Jarvi.
The Christmas of Jarvi. Jarvi, happy Jarvi seasons. Okay. Let's go right to the trial, the better heroic duo. Before we do that, I do have a comment I want to. Alan Smithy, is it ironic that this movie, whose themes nature being destroyed by industry, features images of nature that are actually totally artificial, unnatural, and created by industrial strength filmmaking?
I mean,
got a point.
He's got a point.
That's a very fucking good point.
Yeah.
That is a very solid point, Alan. I see that coming from Alan. Alan's very an old school filmmaker kind of person. I feel like someone who enjoys the practical effects, enjoys the practical scenes and stuff like that. We don't get much of that in Avatar, let's be honest. It's a totally different side of things. I don't disagree with you. But I kind of like the guy who likes to see both. It's like having Star Wars. I like the volume and I like the real sets as well. So
yeah,
I get it though. I get that would be a, shall we say, something that would perturb you a little bit. I get that.
Before we begin, may I approach the bench and make a request?
You may approach.
I would like to start the villain category.
You're claiming villain category.
Villain?
All right. Okay.
All right. That's fine. All right. Jarvi, do you have one you want to take first? Do you have one because I don't care either way.
I'm fine.
Okay.
Just go.
Well, why don't you start with better? Let's just start with better heroic duo. The Worthless and Zoe. Sam Worthless and Zoe Saldana.
I mean, here we go.
Good luck, Jarvi.
This category was tougher than I initially thought, because different from PLD, I think Sam Worthington does a fine job. Not a great job. He does a fine job, in my opinion. I mean, he plays a military grunt who gets thrown into the mix of things. He's jaded. He is paralyzed. He doesn't much care for a living. So the role doesn't really require that much. The movie does a lot of its heavy lifting, and also he's got a lot of CG makeup on him, so that kind of saves it as well. Neytiri, played by Zoe Saldana, now she's everything that Sam Worthington is not. I mean, she's fiery, she's emotional, energetic, full of life. I'm talking about the first Avatar at the moment. Like, the performance is one for the ages. They were even talking about giving her an Oscar nomination, but that didn't go through because it was a motion capture performance. And the chemistry really is there. I mean, sure, it's kind of a Pocahontas story, Dances with Wolves, blah, blah, blah. It's all there. But the chemistry is strong there. Now, on the other hand, The Way of Water, the characters themselves actually haven't changed as much as I thought they would. I mean, there's the parental instinct that's in there, which kind of overpowers everything that they're doing now. But there isn't like much new to each of them. And Jake especially, I think he's still kind of stuck in his like human ways. He sort of treats his family like a unit. Kids call him sir, and like so I love that part, that Jake isn't sort of gone full Navi yet. There's still room for improvement. That is the through line that we've been talking about. His characters always have sort of a beginning and an end, something to thrive for. And they're all kind of flawed in this one. But who was a major standout, even more than the first one, is Neytiri in The Way of Water. Now, in the first one, true, she had that moment where they destroyed Home Tree. Her father got killed. She was sort of in that revenge mode. And spoiler alert, when their son gets killed, I mean, that moment, the way she freaking turns into a feral beast.
Yeah, very primal.
The way she goes on a freaking rampage with Jake there also. Jake is kind of in there as well. But she does a scream and a yell and I don't know, it's like a regal emotion that just blows through her. that alone makes me give this to The Way of Water.
Interesting. Okay.
She's the driving force there. I feel like Jake is kind of the same action hero type, but she just got even better than the first one, even though there's less of them in the second movie.
All right, interesting you say that. I want to point out, first of all, Galactus, William Harold in the chat. Always, you're the hero of the chat a lot of times. I want alien eggs to be found in Pandora and T-800 sent to pacify the moon. That is the Cameron verse idea. I kind of like that.
I mean,
that idea.
it actually would kind of work.
It would absolutely kind of work.
Yeah.
Also, Gold, Sam Worthington is better when we don't actually have to see him. I will give him that credit as well.
Well, you don't see Sam Worthington in The Way of Water at all.
I think that's
Jake
his point.
Sully. He's not Jake Sully. He's Jake Sully.
I think that's William's point. But I will continue from there, and I will say that it's interesting you mentioned. I'm actually surprised that you went with Way of Water for that reason. We had a little bit of a discussion pre-chat because we did have. We started making these categories before we actually saw The Way of Water. Was the idea, and obviously Avatar: The Way of Water, the Jake Sully and Neytiri are much different. There's actually we had a consideration of making the brothers the heroic duo of The Way of Water because they're more involved, but it still felt kind of weird as a comparison to compare the parents to the kids from different points of view. So it seems still better to go with both the Jakes and the Neytiris. So with that in mind, I like that I'm happy that you enjoyed Zoe Saldana's performance in The Way of Water, and I did agree that there's definitely some heights there, but the film actually backseats her for a lot of the film. She has a lot of highs.
I know what you mean.
I mean, but she's not really in a lot of this film. Besides, she has like the pin in the beginning where she does it almost, and because of that, sometimes it feels like she's only in there to scream primally, and then that's it. Like it seems like she's gonna come in, she's gonna do her and then that's it. So in some ways, it lessened it for me. But I will say the ending one with the monkey boy there with Spider was actually really well edited. That actually got me right to the point of my edge of my seat. I'm like, wow, is she actually gonna kill Spider?
She was gonna. I think she was gonna.
Which is dark, which is twisted to that point. And I can't. That's actually what I'm really hoping to explore more of when we get to Avatar 3. But at the same time, I think I have to give it to Avatar just for pure consistency's sake. The first one, because they are consistent, they are the focus, and I like we learn a lot more from them. It seems like in 2, Jake Sully maybe grows a little bit. You see a little more advancement from his character because he went through a journey on the first one, but he still has a journey to make as being a full-time Na'vi in part 2. I didn't find that Neytiri did a whole lot of growth after the first Avatar. The second Avatar, she was pretty much static the entire time for me. So at the end of the day, I think there's more heroicism and more exciting arcs for both characters in the first Avatar, not as much in the second. I will agree, though, once again, that she does have high highs in The Way of Water, but I'm going to go for consistency and give this one to the first Avatar.
I think it's so. Just before you, Matty, go, I think it's like that for a reason with Neytiri, because she doesn't adopt the Way of Water pretty much at all. She doesn't ride the seahorses. She doesn't bond with the Tulkun. Nope. She still rides her Ikran into battle. I think she's still very much loyal to the Omaticaya
people.
And I think this story will continue. I think it's there for a reason. But I do get it if we're comparing the movies on their own.
Right.
I totally get your reasoning.
I mean, it might change after we see Avatars 3, 4, and 5. The whole thing could change at then. It makes sense. But at this point, I can only go with what I say. Matty, what about you? Where are you at on this?
I'm leaning more with Jarvi on this. I feel like
okay.
The highs that you said in Neytiri's performance in The Way of Water is very much like she's a loving mother. She's a caring mother. But at the same time, she still has that primal creature, just not add to that like the love of a mother losing a child, and then you have this savage beast killer that's been in her from the first film, whereas you have Jake, who's kind of become more passive.
I
get that he's the tribal leader, he's the father, but his only focus is to survive. And now Neytiri's like, no, I'm gonna kill every single one of these motherfuckers. Like they killed my son. I'm going nuclear, and I am taking every.
It was actually Jake who encouraged her to go into battle. Because if you remember, she was broken. He was like, strong heart. Then she fucking went mental in the best way.
That's a good point. It's a very good point.
It was kind of like Jake. He's a father, but he's like, all he needs to do is survive. And that kind of took it away from me because, like, I hate to quote Andor, but like now he's ready to fight these bastards for real. And now I feel like in Avatar 3 is when we're going to see Jake become like not only the father and the tribal leader, but he's going to take that fire from Neytiri and be like, right, now we're going to fuck him up.
All right.
So I think the highs of Neytiri outweigh the lows of Jake for me. Because when she really steps up, then it's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely a strong moment. Like I said,
I didn't Avatar. She's the one that puts two in yes, puts 2 arrows in his fucking chest.
Yeah,
and it's just like, well, right? we know who the alpha in the family really is.
He's always been. That's absolutely true.
And Quaritch is still like traumatized by it, but we'll get there.
Oh, yeah, he's like, we've got unfinished business.
That's right. All right, then let's move on to better music. Interesting. This is interesting for me. Obviously, the James Horner composed film for Avatar. Unfortunately, of course, he passed away, or else I'm sure he would have been composing the sequel.
Sure.
Instead, we get a composer by the name of Simon Franklin, who worked on Avatar with James Horner, did some arranging, helped compose the theme song. So he was strongly involved. So it was a nice connection throughout the ages there. And he's done that through he's worked with James Horner a lot. So I guess this was probably the best choice to go for, considering you couldn't get your original. So but comparing the music, it's interesting for me because I look at it, my Simon Franklin versus James Horner, who I love James Horner. And James Horner created a great theme for Avatar, obviously with help from Simon. But I got to be completely honest in that until I watched the movie again, I could barely remember the music from Avatar. I thought the song was good.
Really?
I didn't have any. When I heard the theming, I was like, oh yeah, that's it. It was not anything that stuck with me like throughout the years. I have the feeling The Way of Water is going to stick with me more because I think Simon did a great job of building on what was already created, and he added some texture to it. Again, that's not any fault of James Horner's. It's just like John Williams in Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi. You have the great theme. You have some good themes to begin with. You can build on it and create new ones out of the basis of the original. And Simon made some great work better in a way. I think I kind of feel like there's more to it, a little more, like I said, texture to it. That's a good point, Alan. I want to say it real quick. Alan, to me, it's a similar theme to the Glory score. It kind of is. It kind of is in a way.
I haven't seen Glory.
Yeah,
it's one of those movies that's escaped me.
But I know what I know what you mean, Alan.
So,
very.
I also want to say Reefism is in there. He just wants to wish us a family and Merry Christmas. Thank you, Reefism. I'm guessing
Merry Christmas.
Merry
Avatar
Christmas,
2. Always happy to see you, Reefism, in the chats there. So I guess the end of the day, I got to go with The Way of Water for this, which is surprising to me because I looked at it originally. I was like, it's going to be James Horner because James Horner's a fucking legend. But Simon does a great job building on the great basis. So I'm going to go with Way of Water. Jarvi, how about you?
I am in completely the other direction than you.
Okay.
I think Simon Franklin, he coasted through that movie with some resemblance of the epicness that was James Horner. I mean, he did just enough so it didn't ruin the movie for me. But like there was like James Horner created such a great theme, such great like sounds, sort of powerful moments. There was novelty there, and then he sort of introduced the theme in there. Like Simon Franklin, I don't know, he uses some of the same beats that James Horner did, but there was no there was no main theme that went through the movie for me. There was like bits and pieces here and there, but he didn't sort of commit to like a main theme. It's something in a James Cameron movie. Something that I always want is like a through line, like a theme, I don't know. They kind of went back and forth, trying to do new things, trying to bring in the old. I mean, that's the way to do it, but something didn't quite like click for me. And if we're talking better music, we got to talk about the two soundtracks as well, like Leon and Louis, I See You versus The Weeknd's. I think it's
that.
What was the name of the song? Wow. Jesus, I'm totally blanking. I just had it. You know the song I'm talking about.
I do.
Yeah, it is called
Nothing Is Lost.
Nothing Is Lost. There we go. I think the Weeknd song is freaking awesome. The way it starts, it sort of brings in the power and the sort of the tribal sounds. But Leon and Louis with I See You, I mean, that was sort of like, it was like the Titanic Celine Dion song for me. It's one of the greats. So this was an easy Avatar 2009 for me.
Okay, fair points. All right, Matty, split us up here. Which one are you going to go with?
Again, it seems like Christmas with Jarvi because I'm leaning towards Jarvi as well. I'm gonna start by saying my biggest problem with the Avatar score is it goes from very tranquil to very powerful and atmospheric, but there's no like in between points. It's either one extreme or the other. I am a fan of The Weeknd. My Dear Melancholy is a great album. They should not have put him on that song. He does not have the voice for that song. He's very much a crooner. He's an R&B vocalist. You need someone the likes of Paul. You appreciate someone like Adam Lambert who can has the power behind his voice to carry those notes. And all due respect to, I forget the gentleman's name that composed this score. To me, this score the score for Way of Water sounded like a tribute album to the Avatar score, and I get that's probably what they went in looking to do. Pay tribute to James Horner, but to me, it sounded like a cover album.
Interesting.
It sounded like they were thinking, what would James Horner do?
I'll have to watch The Way of Water again because you guys are totally shifting my view on these things. Maybe I'm wrong. All right, go ahead.
And it was very much like they went, what would James Horner do? Not what would I do? And to pay tribute to James Horner. There was no creative artistic stamp on it. It was like they just did what James Horner would do. And as I said, The Weeknd did not belong on that song. That was not a good song.
I think it's respectful though, the way he did it though. That's what I kind of liked about it.
But you need sort of a maestro to bring in, like sort of be the composer, like for example John Williams or Hans Zimmer. You need a big name for that type of movie. And Simon Franklin, unfortunately, maybe he will get there. He's not there yet. He's not there yet.
Glass is saying, so Matty's saying it needed more Queen. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, Queen would blow them both away, obviously. That's the way
even if you're going to go with a high-end pop singer, Ariana Grande would have crushed that track.
Okay.
But the reason The Weeknd, let's be fair, the reason The Weeknd was on that track is just because he sold out a worldwide stadium tour.
Yeah, he's a hot commodity right now.
Yeah, that's why he's on the soundtrack. It's the only reason.
100%. I agree with that aspect of it, to be sure. But I actually to be completely honest, and this might be sacrilegious to you guys, Jarvi, but the song from 2009 Avatar, I didn't really register to me at all. The
Leona Lewis one?
Yeah, didn't really register to me. I kind of was like, fine, whatever. I could have taken it or leave it. I could have been, so many different people could have done that one as well, I thought, in a way, better. But, all right, interesting enough. We got an interesting battle so far here for sure. All right, we're going to number 3, better visual effects. Now, this is a tough one to do.
It is.
You guys got
it's weird. It's a weird one to do.
I mean, because I guess I'll try to walk my way through it. Avatar kind of began it all, obviously, and did all the work. So it's almost like my first gut instinct is, well, Avatar created all this stuff for this. It was the first one to really take advantage of the 3D the right way, and the CGI is phenomenal. But then Avatar: The Way of Water did so much with it, and also added the whole water capture thing, which had never been done before as well. So again, it's breaking things. So what do you do? Do you go with it's like almost like, in a way, it's a little bit like the score battle. Is it the OG thing that broke it in, or is it the what used the original stuff perhaps better with a little bit of a decade plus worth of time to develop even more? I don't know if we're ever going to say that Avatar: The Way of Water was as revolutionary, so it's hard to go back that way. Except for the water sequence is, for example. So I go back and forth in my head. But I think in 100 years, we'll be talking about Avatar, the original Avatar, for what it did with its graphics and with its visual effects. I think Avatar 2 will be more of an afterthought in a way. Because in a way, like say even 10 years from now, if we're still doing this and we're even doing the water capture stuff, you might get note, yeah, Avatar: The Way of Water really worked out this, but it also was still originally based on what the ground broken by the original Avatar in 2009. So in a case where they're both similar, they're both very good, I feel like I got to go with the original because of its the original. It's the revolutionary thing that got us all into the ballpark in the first place. If that makes sense.
I think your legacy factor, bringing in the legacy factor into this category, is a very interesting take. I did not think of that.
No, then now you can think of it. Well, I'll let you go last.
While you think of it, I'll go because I don't really have much to add to this other than I want to shout out the guys at Heroes Reforged. I was watching their like commentary of Avatar, the first Avatar, and obviously those guys, Adam, Hector, Augustine, they have a background in visual effects,
right? And
they were talking about how like the different tones of green, the different tones of blue in Avatar: The Way of Water, and I was like, that's not only the water captures you mentioned, Paul, but like they expanded on the different color schemes. Like you look at the vines in Avatar, they're just kind of like block green here and block blue there. And something that they also pointed out, a lot of like the flying sequences kind of blurry in the background. And I was like, it took me that to notice, like, yeah, but we cannot fault James Cameron for that because that was the technology at the time.
Right. As
revolutionary as it was, that's what he was working with. It was groundbreaking at the time. To me, it's just the visuals in The Way of Water were absolutely stunning, especially where they went to like what was it, the spirit tree? Was it called
the home tree or the
no?
Which one? In the first one, the second one? They call it the same thing. That was it was sort of the same thing again.
Yeah, the spirit tree where they go underwater and she has the seizure and stuff, like all the underwater colors and stuff. There's different shades of purple and blue. I was like, wow, that is pretty. So I think just from a aesthetic look, I'm gonna have to give it to Avatar 2.
She Sahelot the home tree again.
Interesting.
Oh.
Hey Ed, good to see you.
What's up,
always, Ed? All right.
What's up, Christo? Christo was actually in the screening with me when we watched the movie. I saw it for the second time now.
Nice. Yeah. And he's agreeing with everything I say, so I'm here for it. That's all good. So
I did not enjoy Avatar: The Way of Water, I'll tell you that much. Give it a 3 out of 5.
Okay. All right. That's fair.
Kind of hurt me a little. Hear me? You hurt me?
I think I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5.
But
all right, go ahead, Jarvi.
Yeah, this category is it's a weird and a difficult one to talk about. I mean, there's really nothing bad to say about either movie from me. Even when I watched, they re-released Avatar in the cinemas like a few months ago.
Yep.
That was like, there's pretty much nothing I would change except for the fact that what The Way of Water did was the higher frame rate bits, which I friggin' loved. And I didn't think I would, because I could not stand it in the Gemini Man. I could not stand it in the Hobbit. But when they go underwater, that's like, it's just next level. Everything is so fluid. It looks great. But it's not just the water stuff that blew me away. It's the Metcaina, it's the water people that kind of got redone in a new way. And they, like, truly, like Matty, you said it yourself, it's a different shade. There's a different aspect, the way they're designed. They're like, so I think that's also part of the effects, the way that these characters were sort of, they're different bodies. Their like hands are weird, like finny. Their tails are different. The movement, I think everything sort of compiles to the effects bit in that part as well. So
that I don't know. Impressed you, huh? The different characters.
It really did. It really did. And the animals, everything, and the action as well. Like the first one, I'd say the action in both movies, they kind of cancel each other out, effects and like the way they gripped me. But it's the higher frame rate that made the action in the second one I mean, even better. I have to go with the second one. I know it's kind of a unfair advantage for the second one because the technology is better now, but I gotta go with it. Yeah.
And newer doesn't always mean better. To quote How I Met Your Mother, newer isn't always better.
All right. We'll go. I'll let it slide for now. Let's move on to better villain. This is Matty is chomping at the bit, obviously. So Matty, take it away for better villain.
This is without a doubt Avatar: The Way of Water, and I get Stephen Lang is the main villain. He threatens to kill the children. He wants to wipe out the Na'vi, but I'm gonna skip him because other than hurting women and children, there is nothing in this world that pisses me off more than hunting for sport. And hunting for food, like, I can understand. But if you hunt animals for sport, you are the biggest piece of shit. Like, fuck you. And every single second that Brendan Cowell was on screen, I wanted to do unspeakably violent things to him. Like, both my fists were clenched the entire time he was on screen. Like, when he was, that bit where he takes the bile out of the Tolkien and he just leaves the rest of the body in the ocean and kills the cub. Like, it got such a visceral reaction out of me that I was just like, it woke me up, because leading up to that, I was kind of at a lull in the second part, but then that happened and I was just like, you piece of fucking shit. Like, every time he came on
human
screen,
filth,
I just wanted to like reach through the screen and strangle him with my own two hands, because if you are someone that hunts for sport, you are just fucking scum in my eyes. So for them to portray that got to me. That really got to me.
Wow.
Like, he even says it, like, the mother is not gonna leave its cub, it's gonna be by its side, and that'll make it slower. You're like, when he
says, oh, I'm the one with a harpoon. Oh yeah, that makes you a big fucking man, doesn't it, you fucking pussy? Just the same with any other hunter with a gun. Oh yeah, you're a big fucking man because you got a gun. No, you're a fucking bitch. Like,
that's our clip out, I think. That might
be hunt animals for sport. Fuck you.
Wow.
Well, it's not just for sport, it's for like the 80 million that's in there. But I agree, the way he hunted that tulkun, he was like, oh, isn't that beautiful? Like, that was fucking awful.
Yeah, not for sport, but I know where you're coming from.
If that had been like, if I'd have been watching this in my home, I would have been screaming my house down. But there were children in the theater, so I had to like temper my rage. But like, both my fists were clenching, I was itching, I was getting like really fucking angry.
I can tell. Interesting thing. Like, it's such an interesting thing between us, because like, I'm not a big fan of hunting for sport either, but I didn't even consider this guy as part of the villains. I just consider him a piece of shit, almost like a separate category.
I'm not even gonna dignify him as a shit weasel. He's just a cunt.
Okay, okay, yeah. All right. Well, I have to think about that. Changed my mind enough, because I'll tell you right now. I mean, obviously, you're going with Way of Water, then, Matty.
Yeah.
Okay, because I really just put this up initially as which Quaritch is better, and to me, by far, Avatar 2009 Quaritch is much better than the Na'vi Quaritch version. I think the Na'vi. Here's the thing. This is one of my negatives of Avatar: Way of Water, and it's not a big negative, because obviously I look past it. But the fact that Stephen Lang is even back, even though I love Stephen Lang, just seemed fucking ridiculous to me. Like, they're gonna waste the money of like downloading his personality and putting him into a blue Na'vi when they could just have next general up in line come and take over. Like, it doesn't make it like, why? I don't even explain it. Why? It could have been Ed Harris coming in. Absolutely. It could have been anybody else could have come in, and like, that would have been the play. Okay, so Stephen Lang
did come in.
So
Eddie
Falco, yeah, she comes in. So that's your bad guy. That's your bad guy for the film, necessarily. You don't need Quaritch back, except for, so it just seemed like such an, okay, we need Stephen Lang. We want Stephen Lang back, so we need to kind of find out so it seemed like such an obvious play that actually took me out a little bit. I'm kind of like, really? That's what we're going with? Now, it is sci-fi. It is, good googly goggly sci-fi talk. Okay, fine. I can accept it. I can accept that for a lot of sci-fi films. I can accept a lot of it for any kind of sci-fi film. So at the end of the day, I accepted it. But there's something that seemed to be missing for me. I didn't like I like the purity of Quaritch as this bad guy human who hated the Navis. To me, that Quaritch would have hated being a Navi, would never have accepted being a Navi. That's not his thing. He is his own man. And he would have, if he had his memories in place, he'd be like, I want my own body back somehow. So I just didn't like that whole aspect of it. He is good. I did kind of like a lot of it. But at the same time, the end of the film, we obviously have the whole storyline with Spider being his son, which, by the way, where does that happen? Who's he going with? Who's he with? Do we have any idea? Like, did I miss that? No, who did Spider's mom? Who's Spider's mom? Like, she's born there. I can't remember. Did they say that? I might have missed it.
No, they didn't say it. They didn't just.
So all of a sudden, we just know Stephen Lang was banging some chick on Pandora somehow.
Yeah.
And he was born there.
You?
I mean, I guess in a way, but it just seemed like such a weird thing.
It's kind of like an ode to the old GI, thing.
I mean,
like,
exactly. He was just a
come
hammer.
And bang the population,
right? But like, they're like,
killing
what
everyone.
female? I don't know. It seemed a little off to me. And then they tried to like make this whole thing like he has this. Like, I feel like we're going to get a redemptive arc with him now, maybe potentially with the whole Spider, and I don't like it. I don't want him to have the redemptive arc. I just think it's a bad choice for him. But I think because Spider brings him back, and he actually relents, and you show him have heart when Natiri's about to kill Spider. I didn't like it because it just didn't seem against everything he was saying and doing. I mean, I guess it's always I can see why people like it for his humanity, showing his humanity, giving some more layers. But to me, I don't want him to have redemptive arc. I don't want him to be. I think he's a piece of shit. I think he should be a piece of shit the entire way through. Giving him any sort of heart just seems like I don't know. I didn't like that aspect of it either. So that turned me off a little bit of it compared to the Stephen Lang, who is. He might be more of like just a mustache twirling villain in the first one, but he seemed more pure and real to me. Because it also seemed like he's like, I'm doing my job. This is what I do. This is what I do, and that's what some of the best villains do. That's like it's not a passionate thing.
It's not personal.
Not personal. It's business, and that's what he does. So I got to give this one to the first Avatar, even though. Matty did make me think about it because I did not like the Hunter guy. I get that. I didn't get that. But overall, I got to go with Better Quaritch, and that to me is 2009. So, Jarvi, it's up to you. We have not had one category where all three of us have agreed.
You both make great points. This is the case of human Quaritch versus Navi Quaritch, and I gotta agree there, PLE, that like the 2009 Quaritch, the human Quaritch, he's just your pure badass military villain. He hammers every nail. He's like has to take control of every situation. There's nothing redeemable about him, and you don't need that. You can have just a badass villainous character, and for that, I mean, Stephen Lang is freaking perfect. But this is not the same Quaritch. He even says it himself. I'm a different man. And also being in a Navi body, like he rejects it at first. He's freaking outraged. He just wants to kill everybody in his way. But I think being in an Avatar body, it did something to Jake. Sure, he fell in love with the people and with Neytiri, but I think it connected him more to the nature and like his surroundings. And I think the same thing is slowly happening to Quaritch as a Navi. You see the change in him. There's Spider, on the other hand, like he's also humanized, like Navi-izing, not humanizing him.
He's the cub that was brought into the. He's essentially Mowgli.
Yeah, very much. So.
Spider's essentially Mowgli.
He's Space Tarzan. But I mean, so we got the fully unredeemable Quaritch, and I think in the second one we needed something different. If we got in the same Quaritch, I don't know. I kind of like not. I don't want him redeemed. I get like this this even feels a little like they're going the Kylo Ren way. Sort of, he has the Knights of Ren.
Oh,
he's sort of finding his sort of emotional core. But he doesn't. So something that Christo said to me as well after the movie is like, in the third or fourth one, I bet they're going to be fighting together against another
of
common threat. So I gotta agree, that is something I don't want. But I mean, Quaritch says it himself. You have him what's it called? Not the Navy.
Marines.
Marines in an Avatar body. That's a potent mix. And like on top of that, we got freaking Scoresby, who's a whale killer. Now, if you got two Quaritches going head to head, it's tougher to decide. But Scoresby, freaking, that's just the way of water, because I fucking hate this dude as much as I hated Joffrey, as much as I hated the other guy from Game of Thrones, whose name I'm blanking on. That was a reaction from me that I've never had in a cinema. I had to look away. I had to calm myself. I told myself, this is a movie. This is a movie. It didn't friggin' help. I got so fucking angry. And that's like the beauty of a villainous character.
Before we go on, I want to bring up something then that I forgot to bring up when I was talking about my villains. Because Avatar 2009 doesn't just have Quaritch. It has Parker Selfridge. Giovanni Ribisi's character.
Oh yeah. That's a shit weasel, right?
And that's
there.
a big shit weasel, and I love a good shit weasel for a movie. And so that's another reason why I got to lean towards the original Avatar, because something about his accent just pisses me off anyway. The way he talks, it's such a snotty accent in a way.
Giovanni Ribisi is awesome.
He's one of the better shit weasels I've seen in the 20th century. Honestly speaking, he just has this whole thing. Is like find another tree. It's a tree. The whole place is filled with trees. If I move to a fucking tree. So I love his aspect as well. Exactly. So that's where I'm going to go with as well. I'm going to keep him as well on the villain side. Not trying to change your mind, but I did want to throw that out there as well.
No, it makes sense. No, he's a villainous character. More so. Yeah.
All right, let's go to better premise, better story, basically, at this point. Where are we going to go here? Jarvi, I'm going to let you lead this off. I'm going to go last on this one because, quite frankly, you guys have been 2-1 on me every single category. No which way I go. Before I do that, I will say Chris was saying also the Fast and Furious will collide in the upcoming Avatar movies. You will Avatar 2, Diesel and Rodriguez show up in the cast. That's true. Diesel supposedly is in Avatar 2. We don't know where. I don't know if it's a voice. He's supposed to have a part in 3. Yes, he is. He actually is. He's in the listing. And so I don't know what he is in there. I don't know if his part got cut.
Is Groot on Pandora or something?
I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe. But it is in the listing. That's true.
Maybe he plays one of those trees or something.
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe he's a Tulkun, or he's the seahorse that they sort of just went this.
And of course, Sean Wingblade in the chat as well. I think Quaritch is going to leave the humans to become ruler of a warring Na'vi tribe. No, maybe mountains of lava, fire versus water story. I'd actually almost prefer that than have them fighting on the same side, to be honest with you. I wouldn't mind seeing that because maybe...
I don't want to fight on the same side. No.
That's what I'm saying. I don't want to fight at the same side. So if you have them the lava tribe or something like that, and has to fight between two Na'vi tribes fighting instead, might be different than having a third humans versus Na'vi storyline. Potentially. Just a thought. I like where Sean's head is with that. So, all right. Better premise. Jarvi, lead us off with this one.
Okay. So I'm going to do a quick rant about the story of both Avatar movies before people say it's not the fucking original story.
You rant about Avatar?
James Cameron said it himself in an interview. This, and I totally get it. The Avatar movies aren't supposed to be your original stories that sort of challenge you and be super edgy. These are movies that are meant for the widest audience possible. So the story has to be relatively simple. And that has been that's something that he did on purpose, that the stories are very easily digestible for both of these movies. So I know it kind of sounds like an excuse. I get it. There's an argument out there where that argument can be made. But all right, so let's get into the actual category. I feel like both these movies are actually very similar with their premises and the stories. The second one, I mean, there was a moment when I was actually very much worried about The Way of Water. The way it started off, it was like beat for beat, the first one. It even showed us the same sort of clips from the first one. But eventually that they get to the Metcaina, and then it's a whole other ballgame, I feel like. Again, both movies sort of have this ecological message. The first one is more about the forest. The second one is about the oceans. and how like sort of the water connects it all. And then you have the humans who want to take advantage of it for their own financial gain. So it's really tough to this. So I mean, I know my thoughts are all over the place with the premise because they're so damn familiar yet different. But I think I got to bring this category to which one transported me more into the world with the story that it told me. Because the first one kind of, so I was thinking all the time, how are they doing this? This is amazing. I'm into this. The second one was, I pretty much forgot that I was watching a movie altogether. I felt like I was in the movie. This was happening to me. I couldn't shake the feeling of, these characters are actually real. So, and I think it's the revenge story and the parenting side that kind of took it over the edge for me. I know my thoughts are all over the place, but I think I gotta bring it to the fact that The Way of Water just robbed me of all my other senses, and I was so damn into the story.
Interesting. Okay. Before I'm going to let you take over, Matty, but Krista wants to say, if the story is simple and similar, how can it still be a 5-star movie? 3D was awesome, but that's not enough.
Who said it's a 5-star movie?
I don't know. I'm just saying, I don't know.
No one said it.
Do you think it's a 5-star movie?
No.
Okay. Okay, fair.
Just asking the question. Our patron Pardis does.
Or it does have a lot of 5-star movies. That's absolutely true. When you see it get a lot of times. So
I mean, okay. I can quickly wrap this category up in that, like, I appreciated the themes of Way of Water more. Shout out to Sea Shepherd organization for what they do to protect the ocean. That's a big sticking point for me. I love that they're the clan of protecting the ocean and the creatures of it. That was a big sticking point for me. But I felt like there was it was like the tree. There were like so many branches going off. You had the arc with the kids, the arc with the ocean, the arc with them settling into the tribe. My brain was just like, whoa, okay, slow down. Let me get my bearings here. But the first one was very much Jake's infiltrating the Na'vi, falls in love, realizes what he's doing is wrong, and sets out to make it right. If Cameron's going for simplicity, that's the way he needs to go. And I feel like with the second one, he had so much that he wanted to say and rightfully should have said, but it was very much like, boom, there you go. If he'd have maybe like split it into 2 and 3, and I get this is me being like, okay, it's a 3. I don't like 3.5 hour long movies, but I feel like the messages he had in Avatar 2 were great, and the themes he wanted to explore were great, but I feel like he would just wanted to shove like so much in at one time that I was just kind of like, wait, hold on. What are we looking at right now? Whereas the first one, I was just like, okay, cool. 1 through line plot. Cool. I get it. Cool. All right, good. So I'm going to give it to Avatar.
Okay. Interesting. All right. Interesting point. Actually, so there's finally a time that I won't be 2-1 because you both have split your decisions. Finally, you're not on the same page for the first time all episode. And I'm going to say I'm going to side more with Matty, I think, because to me, I agree. The simplisticness of the story is part of what makes it work. I think The Way of Water gets a little too complex. It kind of tries to copy and paste a little bit of the story, but then kind of add on to it. Added a little more, too many more characters, I think, as well. I had a hard time at points going, wait, who's that again? That's okay. That's that one. Oh, that's that.
Oh,
okay.
I never felt that.
I did. I felt it. And not only that, but I felt like it didn't know what movie it wanted to tell. It wanted to tell 2 movies in one. Like the whole middle section, which I don't mind the slow burn. It's not that I minded it. I didn't mind the length of the film. I didn't mind the different takes on things. But I was like in a different movie, and all of a sudden the fucking hunting ship shows up, and I also went, oh yeah, there's this part of the movie now. We're in a different. So it seemed like it's like 2 different movies in one. It's like trying to do too much. I think if you want to make it simplistic a little bit to really showcase what we want to do, the first one is definitely the way to go. It's a much more simplistic, straightforward. Straightforward is not even the right word, but it does what it needs to do better, because The Way of Water tries to repeat a lot of those beats and just do them in similar and try to do them in different fashions. It's still about like the whole trip to the sea people there, the water people. It basically is trying to repeat Jake going into the,
Mhm.
the Navi tribe.
Yeah, that I
Now it's
agree.
just- Now it's just the
Yeah.
Navi going into the other tribe. It just
Mm.
felt like a repeat of the same thing. Trying to be a clever way to do it, I guess. Fine, I guess, but at the same time, I think it felt like a waste of time, and we didn't need that aspect of it. Because otherwise, it also didn't make too much sense. Okay, so they know Spider knows where they are. So here's the thing about it too that kills me to me. Okay, so Spider gets taken, and Jake Sully and family leave because Spider knows their location. So Jake and the family leave. If Spider does know their location and is afraid they're going to come, you're going to leave the whole tribe on their own to face Quaritch and company instead of trying to move it. Like them leaving is like abandoning the goat. Well, they're going to come fuck you up. We're going to be over here in a way. Even if it's like a way to try to like, even if it's a way to try to like, supposedly they kind of spouted out like they were trying to draw them away. But that doesn't make any sense because
They ended
Spider
up getting their
knows
houses burned down.
Spider knows where they are, and that's where they're going to go first. Even if they're going to find out later on they left, do you think that the humans are going to stop there, or they're going to do what they're going to do because they're insurgents too? They've been insurgents with Jake Sully. You don't have the leader, but they're going to take care of. Well, we're here. Might as well take care of these people or these creatures, and then we'll go find Jake Sully and family. So I didn't like that aspect of the story either. It felt like a weird decision that was made by Jake.
But they knew that the Amaticaya people didn't know where they went.
Doesn't matter though, because that's just basically saving their bacon. It's just saving his bacon. Because you're still leaving the rest of the tribe to face Quaritch.
You're saving the tribe because
How?
he has no reason to touch them because they don't know where he is.
Do you think that Quaritch is going to care about that? Or is
Well,
Quaritch
he didn't touch him.
Well, he should have. That's my problem, because the Quaritch and the Quaritch that we know is like, well, these guys, because it wasn't like Jake was the only one being an insurgent. There's a whole tribe of insurgents there. We're going to take care of the insurgents. It's like, all right, Osama bin Laden's not there, so we're going to leave these terrorists here because they're not doing anything. We're going to leave them alone.
So you shouldn't bring real life into this.
Well, that's what I'm trying. That's what I'm trying to say. It bothered me.
I get the point you're trying to make. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, if they're going to leave the insurgents there, that's your plan. You're going to leave the insurgents behind to face them on their own. I don't know. It bothered me a little bit. Again, I guess that's a long way of saying that. To me, it was too more complex than it needed to be comparatively. The first one I liked a little bit better story-wise. So I'm going to go with, even though I'm going to say this right now, I actually enjoyed Way of Water better as a movie overall, surprisingly enough. I did like the storyline of Avatar 1 better overall.
When you guys were talking, I remember the key part why I liked the Way of Water more. In the first one, Jake sort of makes the choice that he wants to be part of the Navi. He wants to fight for the good guys in that sense, go against the humans. So that was his choice. In the second one, he's sort of deprived of the choice. He doesn't want to leave his people. He has to go because he wants to save his family. When they get there, he doesn't want to fight the humans, but he has to at the final moment when there's nothing else to do. He knows that he has to fight them. Everything for him, he's deprived of choice pretty much the entire way, and he just does it because there's a parental instinct to him. So that was a big thing that I loved about The Way of Water. Also, the Tulkun storyline, these characters, these creatures, the society, the fact that they have music, math, philosophy. That was like, okay, that's going a bit too far. When he started talking with the Tulkuns actually conversing, I was like, oh wow, okay, they were going that way, but I still enjoyed it. I think it was like an intense, emotional moment there.
Okay, that's a fair point. Chris also saying, thought you rated 5 is bad. Okay.
Now I went 4.5 because, as I said, I didn't like the music, and the actor who played Spider, god awful. Oh my god, that was awful character. Awesome character. Sorry, bad performance.
I wasn't a big fan of him either. I still think he was worse than Worthless, but that's okay. I still think Worthless was worse than him, but that's okay. Although I will say, you know what? I will give credit where credit's due. I do think Worthless was better in Way of Water than he was in the initial, but that's not saying a whole lot.
He was better than he was in The Shack.
That's true. Yeah, him and Jai Courtney should go in a car and leave Hollywood and never come back. All right, then let's move on to the 6th and final battle.
Go to a car.
That
was such a weird like get in your car and drive away. Oh no, you didn't.
All right. Let's move on.
Let me
then, of
let me
course.
Google the nearest Burns unit.
It's my birthday weekend. Shut up. Um, all right. So, how about better fist pump moments in honor of AMA coming back? Well, Jarvi, as one of the OG Action Army people and AMA
What's
people, were there even
what's
before
a
I
fist pump?
was. Jarvi, can you describe a fist pump for us?
If you want to know what a fist bump is, it's something that happens in a movie. It can be anything. It can be the opening credits. It can be a conversation between father and son, or it can just be a moment where, an MTA operator just confesses that he took the money and he needed it to put his daughter through school. It can be any moment that you just love and it makes you physically fist bump. You're like, God damn it, I can't wait to watch the rest of this movie. That's a fist bump moment.
It makes you pause the stream. It's not a DVD anymore. The streamer. So you got to pause the streamer. You call up Jarvi. You're like, Jarvi, what are you doing? You at a funeral? I don't care. They'll still. They're not going anywhere. Go to your home. Put on the DVD for Avatar: Way of Water. Go to 36.
Go to the bathroom. Pull it up on your phone.
Pull the bathroom. Pull up your phone. Watch it now. Watch it right now. And that's what a fist bump is.
We've actually done this with PLE. We have fist pumped each other, but you know what I mean.
We're gonna have to come up with a different connotation.
Yeah, you're gonna have to come up with a different name for that. May I go? Because I have
Please
one
do.
that is the definitive fist pump of both movies. When that piece of shit gets the fucking arm, gets his arm held with his own harpoon, and the guy says, "Who's got the harpoon now?" And he just when he dies, it was almost orgasmic how much Karma is a fucking bitch. That was Karma Sutra right there. It felt so good.
Clap?
What's that?
Did your cinema clap?
No, but I let out a whoop. I was like, "Fuck yeah!" that is. God. I mean, the in the first one, her putting the 2 arrows in the chest. That's a cool moment. Him learning to ride the I forget what the flying
Ikran.
That's it. That's cool, but there was no bigger fist pump than seeing that motherfucker held there trying to pull away and then just watching his arm come off like the Torkun's like his fin that got severed. And it was just like, hey bro, fucking eye for an eye, arm for an arm, bitch. Fuck you.
But Scoresby,
God, that felt good.
But did he survive though?
No, he dead.
Oh, he's dead, I think.
He dead. He can't survive
this is sci-fi. This is sci-fi.
How are you going to swim back to shore with one arm?
You find a way. You got legs. He can just grab onto something. Grab onto a door and float on the. Oh, that's a different movie.
Don't.
No.
I already had Brendan Hanna correct me on that one. Okay, I'm
Winslet would have climbed on board and sort of flipped the door, and he's like,
"I'm not touching that."
Fucking real in the chat there. Way of Water does it for me. It's not close. 2009 did very little for me. Again, though, fucking really got to realize it's the categories. It's always the categories.
It is the categories.
I agree that Way of Water is for me, but I've actually voted probably more for Avatar for the categories themselves. Interestingly enough. Okay, so then Matty, you're going to say because of that, then Way of Water wins that category for you.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. That's good. Good to know.
Fuck that guy.
Jarvi, let's give it to me. Give it to me. What do you think?
Yeah, Avatar 2009 has what Matty said, one of the greatest fist bumps in cinematic history is when he gets the Ikran and he goes for that first flight. He flies around. So whenever they are airborne, when he gets Toruk Makto and like all the flying scenes, just mesmerizing, friggin' perfect. And when Jake first enters his Avatar body, when he finally gets the use of his legs, he runs out that door, he eats the fruit. I mean, another sort of transportational moment. In The Way of Water, another one you mentioned, the losing of the arm, the cinema freaking clapped, they cheered, I cheered. So pretty much everything with the Tulkuns and especially Payakan to me was, it's not a fist pump per se, but it is an emotional an explosion of emotion kind of a moment. And there was sort of an MCU moment when sort of the Metzgainas, they went to war on their seahorses and like the wings spread up and it just like friggin' all flew in there. So I don't know. Both of these kind of cancel each other out for me, but yeah, I have to go with what I have here. I'm going with the Way of Water again because of the emotional fist bump moment that was gripping to me with the Tulkuns with Payakan, and the moment where he freaking rips his arm off. I mean, there's like two of the best type of moments that sort of get to me, and the Way of Water just did it more to me.
All right. It's up to me. Let's see if it's 2-1 again. We'll find out. It's not. It's 3-0. I agree with you guys on the Way of Water. I do think that my favorite fist bump moments, I have 2 fist bump moments, both from Way of Water, that really got me. It was Payakan saving the kids. He comes out of the water and starts like,
oh yeah, that was cool.
Starts the whole battle. Basically starts the whole battle at that point.
That was a Star Wars moment right there. As
really
soon as that happened, I was just thinking, there's always a bigger fish.
There's always a bigger fish. That's it. Yeah, so good. And beyond that, what we said before about Neytiri. No, that too. But the Neytiri primal rage moment when Worthless has to calm her down, and then she goes like, and she focuses, and it's like, okay, she's a badass now. That's a fist bump moment for me as well. So I'll give it to Way of Water as well. Not much else to talk about there. So we have decided at this point, it looks like we have gone through this entire battle. I'm not surprised, I guess. I would say I'm surprised. Winning by way of winning by a score of 10-7.
Oh,
10-7. Or is that possible? No, it's not. I didn't. Never mind. Take that back. 10-2. I got it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Take that
Jarvi.
back. I am pulling a Jarvi, but I'm correcting myself. That's what I do. I correct myself before I actually announce it. 11-7. 11-7. It is Avatar: The Way of Water, which makes a lot of sense. It does make a lot of sense. A lot of people liked it better for some reason, so it does make sense for me. That's where we're going to end that particular.
What?
What's that? I don't. You guys hear that?
Avatar 1. Leave it there.
Dude.
What is this?
Oh my god.
Right.
What is this? I don't know what's going on here, but it seems like there's somebody else that wants something a little different happening here. Oh my god! It's Ed Harris! It's the Abyss! It's the Abyss coming in! Oh my god! Look at him going to the music! Oh, he's pissed. Look at that. He's pissed. You did not let him do.
You're not doing this, PLD.
Holy shit! I can't believe this. That's right, folks. It is going to be the Abyss versus the Avatar: The Way of Water. Right now, he's cashing in his title.
Can he do this?
I just did. The Abyss
right now.
He's cashing in a title shot, just like Stone Cold would. He's got
we should have just played the fucking Ed Harris game.
Better water film. What's the better? The OG James Cameron water film.
We should have just played the Ed Harris game. Jesus Christ. All right, let's do it. Let's get it over with.
Might not be prepared for this, but we're doing it right now. Better heroic duo. I'm going to lead this fucker off right now. You got Ed Harris versus Sam Worthless. Case fucking closed. Ed Harris is going to win this one. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. You say Zoe Saldana, Mary Elizabeth Mastriotano, maybe, but Mary Elizabeth Mastriotano is far closer to Zoe Saldana than Sam Worthless is even close to being on the hem of Ed Harris's pants.
Okay, I'm not even gonna bother arguing that point, but I will add that I think Ed Harris and Zoe Saldana probably would have been the better pair of the two.
Ed Harris, what was that again?
Ed Harris and Zoe Saldana. I feel like if those two were a pair, I feel like that.
I will agree with that.
Would have fit.
Agree with that.
I'm a better man than that. I know when to back away.
Back away. Okay, so you're going to vote for the Abyss on that as well. Jarvi, you're going to break my heart?
Take the Abyss.
I mean, this is a category where you have to explain yourself, not just pick your favorite thing. This is exactly what class action is what you guys are doing right now.
Hey, man,
I'm not arguing against you.
I'm not going through resurrections again.
Bring me some reasoning right there. I hear nothing. I just see screaming. I need an argument.
Ed Harris, the earthiest playing the Earth character of Bud Brigman, the down and just the everyman to the perfect degree. He rises to the occasion. He is not a grunt, a military grunt, and yet he still does everything right to save the day. He faces off against the aliens in a much better way than Jake Sully ever did, and he talks them into saving the world. He saves his marriage. He saves the crew. He helps destroy Michael Biehn. It's a fucking perfect role for him, and it's much better than Sam Worthless ever would have done.
You're forgetting 50% of this argument.
Doesn't matter. It's like Ed Harris is that much better than Sam Worthless that the other side actually doesn't really matter. I will agree. Look. Zoe Saldana does great work. Absolutely great work. Mary Elizabeth Mastro has a great chemistry with Ed Harris. Much actually, the chemistry between those two and their bickering husband wife thing is much more better grounded and better, more realistic and more powerful, I think, than this. I'm going to fall in love with the native story I've heard a billion times. If I don't need fucking Pocahontas in space at that point, I need good, solid human relationships that work and that don't work, and then they come together at the end. It's beautiful. Okay,
you've been bottling this up, huh?
Mm-hmm. I haven't bottled this up for.
I'm
at least
just
I got
sit
some.
Back and let you two go at it.
I needed some reasoning. Like this was just way too preposterous before. But I'm not saying you're wrong. But I think actually the characters are a lot more similar than you would first think, because Jake and Neytiri, they kind of have like the big epic space adventure love story, whereas Bud and Lindsay sort of have a more grounded relationship. But as characters, I feel like they sort of cancel each other out in like the most positive ways, because they're both adversarial relationships.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Bud and Lindsay definitely more than Jake and Neytiri in the second one. Where I can start making distinctions is the acting performances. To me, this is Ed Harris's best performance I've ever seen. I think Hummel is by far my favorite performance, but I think this is his best one. Now, Zoe Saldana, I think, delivers her best performance as well. Albeit, I know it's motion capture, but I think Saldana's performance is, not saying better, but I'm saying it's more nuanced than Ed Harris's. I think when we go to Sam Worthington, that is where the actress Lindsay, I can't pronounce her last name,
Mary Elizabeth Mastro.
I'm just going to call her Lindsay.
Oh, Lindsay, that's fine.
So Worthington and Lindsay sort of also cancel each other out, because I think Lindsay is a more nuanced character than Jake is. So it's like canceling it out in both cases to me. Now, the final frontier where I finally could decide which one is the better duo is
Don't go there, bro. It's not worth
wait,
it.
I gotta get to my notes.
If you're gonna do
okay,
it,
yeah, the character wise, which is the better duo? So this is where I think The Abyss takes the cake, because Ed Harris and the actress who plays Lindsay, they're pretty much together through the entirety of the movie. They are fighting to, against the sort of the threat that's there, but they're also fighting for their marriage, and they're pretty much together the entire movie. So like the decisions they make together, the revival moment, the way they motivate each other, the way they have to say goodbye to each other at different moments, there is just way more sort of earthiness there, pun intended. So yeah, this is The Abyss.
Okay. All right, then we'll move on to better music. Way of Water versus The Abyss in music. I think, obviously, considering I voted the one who voted for Way of Water, this might be the easier one than I thought it was going to be. I listened to the Abyss soundtrack last night, and I'm amazed at how much I love it, specifically because I'm a big vocal guy, a big Queen fan, and they have a lot of those choir-like vocals in the Abyss music. And the moments when, first of all, beyond the resuscitation, and that moment at the end when the aliens start rising the ship up, it's such a glorious, shining moment. And you're talking about it. If you're going to put up Mr. Franklin there again against a living legend like Alvin Silvestri, I will agree with that Alvin Silvestri should win that battle. I love the Abyss score. I can listen to that nonstop. I actually remembered it. I actually put it on my Spotify all the time. I never even did that with the original Avatar, which I liked even. I liked a little bit, but to me, the Abyss is an easy sweep for me for the Abyss. Matty, you're the music guy. What do you think about this one?
Oh, you're muted.
You're muted, Matty, or something.
Yeah, I can't defend the Way of Water's score against the Abyss's. It's just, it would be disingenuous and dishonest, because there's that, especially some of those moments where you get like the dark, almost 9-inch nails kind of electronics. That's my shit right there. When it goes like a little bit like 9-inch nails, but with some percussion and strings, I'm like, fuck yeah, give me that all day. Against the tribute album of the Way of Water screen. Yeah,
fair enough. Fair enough. All right, Jarvi.
If it was James Horner and Avatar, it would easily take it over the Abyss. But you know my issues with the Way of Water, and also I think like the Abyss altogether, I feel like is James Cameron's most underrated movie. The score of the Abyss is one. Like it's very underrated score. It has what the Way of Water doesn't have, like a through line, sort of a playful, mysterious way to it. It gives me some vibes of Spielberg and John Williams here and there.
It does,
yeah. Like what was the alien? The third Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there are definitely like sort of similarities to that one.
I didn't notice that until you just said that.
Oh.
So yeah, this has to go to the Abyss as well.
Okay, fair. All right, so we are number 3, better effects. This is
a weird one, right?
This is a very strange one. Like because it is, again, it's totally different. I mean, you're talking about the 1980s versus today.
89, right?
89 is when it came out. So they were working on it like 87, 88 at this point. And yet, The Abyss, technically speaking, is almost as revolutionary to some degree as Avatar was. Like the whole, that alien creature with the water alien beginning was actually talked about for a long time. And it actually was the starting point for T2, which also became a legendary thing.
You don't mean the alien, you just mean how the way the water
takes shape and stuff.
Because that's not the alien. The alien is the translucent thing.
Right. All right. But it was the alien probe that was having they were pushing the water through,
controlling the water,
shape, controlling everything else, and it had that kind of thing, and that was revolutionary for the 1980s for sure. I mean, and this is a movie, The Abyss. You can go back to it, and you can't say this about a lot of 80s movies. The effects still hold up today. I watched it recently. I don't see anything like, you can tell it's a little bit of an older movie, but it doesn't seem like the effects aren't the thing that you don't go, cheesy effects of the 80s or a cheesy effect. I could watch this. This movie could be made last year, and I still think it's a similar
10 years ago.
10 years ago, probably. Okay, maybe 10 years ago. But in a way, it does remind me also of the fact that, quite frankly, maybe I'm an older curmudgeon. I kind of like Alan Smithy. I definitely actually prefer the more practical effects than the complete CGI. Maybe I am a boomer in that way. Just like Star Wars, as people have said as well, like the practical effects, like it's amazing what you can do with digital effects, and what Cameron did with Avatar and Avatar: Way of Water. I could never, like, that's fucking impressive as all get out. I still prefer kind of like the realness. And I feel like I can hold on to The Abyss. I can't hold on to Avatar. I feel like if I touch it, my hands are just gonna go through it. Like
you need to do the Sahelo.
Exactly. So this almost seems like a bit at this point, but I'm truly gonna have to give it to The Abyss in terms of, I feel like it's more of a real movie for me that way.
No, I get it. I get it.
So, Matty, I'll give it to you.
This is the one. This is a slam dunk for Avatar for me. I'm sorry. I get that. I get the legacy argument. I get it. It's nice. It's cool. Thank you for everything you did to get us to the point that we're at now. But we're at a different level now. Okay. And it's more strikingly beautiful to me is this, especially the maybe it's just because I love a nice, beautiful, clear ocean is one of the most beautiful sights I could ever see to me. But I gotta give it to Way of Water. I have to. I'm sorry.
You don't have to be sorry, because I completely understand that aspect of it. If everybody gives the effects to Avatar, it's a brilliant piece of work.
I'm just treading careful ground because of Alien Resurrection.
I get it. Fair point. All right, Jarvi, what about you?
Yeah, this is a bitch of a category to talk about. I kind of want to give this to The Abyss for the reasons that you said, PLD, because of the practical effects, because everything it did, because practical effects will always outlive visual or CGI effects. I feel like that's what Christopher Nolan has been doing with his movies, and they visually, each of his movie could have been made last year, like you said. Nothing that he does effects wise, I feel like, really ages. And I mean, it's all shot practically, right? They've built these sets. The only CGI, I don't actually think even the alien ship is CGI, because they actually crafted like a miniature of it that they raised up, and so I would guess the tidal wave is CGI. So but it's you can't deny what Avatar did in post-production and with setting up the effects, be it practical or visual. I mean, Avatar, The Way of Water still takes the cake because of so much work went into it. It took way longer to make these effects, and it paid off. So with a lot of Hollywood movies, when there's a lot of CGI, when they don't look that great, it's the fact that they just don't have enough time to give the animators enough time to do it, and they don't have enough money to finalize the effects. This is just Cameron being, I mean, meticulously detailed with everything. But it's a lot closer. I actually kind of wanted to give it to The Abyss, but the way of Water transports me to Pandora is, nothing does it like that. The Abyss can't do it like
absolutely fair.
Avatar does.
Absolutely fair. Okay, we'll go into better villain then. Interestingly enough,
this is a cool one.
Yeah, this is a great one.
Now, Way of Water, obviously we have the Hunter. I get that. But Way of Water, actually, to me, it would have been harder for me to do it if it was the first Avatar versus The Abyss, because I like Stephen Lang, but I didn't like the Quaritch as much in Way of Water. I've already been on record saying that as much. I don't like what they did with the character in that. To me, I love Michael Biehn. I've always loved Michael Biehn. I love the performances he gives. And I really like his character of Coffee in this one, because this is like you said, Quaritch is still kind of and the Quaritch and the Hunter both are still kind of mustache twirling villains. They still kind of have that, like, we're going to be bad guys. We're bad guys. And you're gonna fight. You're gonna hate us, and the heroes are gonna fight. But I think that Michael Bihn's character is so well layered. He's a Marine grunt, cut off from command.
He's a Navy SEAL.
Navy SEAL. Yeah, sorry, the same. Yeah, he's a Navy SEAL, cut off from command. Not actually used to commanding per se, as far as that goes. And he's put in this position that is insanely difficult to deal with, and he's also getting the shakes. He's going crazy. The cabin fever.
He has to give the order this time.
He has to be on. And he has a chance to either declare war on World War III. He has to give that order. He could start World War III with a bunch of aliens, or it's the Russians, and he cracks under pressure. So he's such a relatable, not a relatable villain, but he's just this villain that, like, you almost feel bad for him. You still want him to lose, and you're still like, what an asshole you're being. Oh my God. When, like, Lindsay comes up and is like, you're bringing a fucking nuclear warhead on board. What are you thinking? But it's because he's only doing what he can. He's feeling so out of his depth. That makes for a more interesting villain to me, instead of the mustache twirling. I mean, the Way of Water has the mustache twirling villain for simplicity. I get it. I get that whole aspect of it. It tries to give Quaritch a better layer towards the end, but to me, Michael Biehn is a very unique villain. You don't get that villain nearly as much in films, and so I far prefer seeing that kind of villain as a unique take than I do seeing Stephen Lang as Max Quaritch. So I'm going to give this one, unsurprisingly, but to the best. I mean, I love the movie. I got to say, that's the reason. But these are the reasons why I love it overall. Liked the villains. I'm going to remember Michael Biehn more than I remember Blue Stephen Lane Quaritch.
I want to give it to Michael Biehn. I really do. But there's that one line that anytime I hear it, it just makes me laugh. It's where he's like, what the fuck was it? He's like, sniff something, did you, rat boy? I'm just like,
I love that. To be
that
honest,
is like, you just completely with me being like, oh yeah, you're like this intense. Yeah, you're a Navy SEAL, and then you just call him rat boy. I'm just like, okay. Let me step back for a second and just sit in that. Okay, that was very much an action 80s one-liner. I get it. But again, the visceral reaction I got out of the Hunter in Avatar 2, if we talk about better villain, like, I want to hate you. I want you to die at the end of this movie. I didn't really get that as much from Michael Biehn. So I got to give it Avatar.
All right.
The thing with Michael Biehn in The Abyss is
cool.
I don't even think he's a villain. He just gets into a very unfortunate situation. That is the pressure sickness that they talk about. One person every 20 can't handle it. They start hallucinating, they slur their speech. They pretty much change as a person. So this is not what Coffee usually is. He's a Navy SEAL. He's a hero. He's a good guy who gets turned evil because of these hallucinations. Go ahead, PLD.
I just want to interject that because Ed Harris, as General Francis X Hummel, is also not a villain, as we know.
Yeah,
but he's still the better villain. He was still in the better villains. Everything else. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
I'm not holding that against him.
Okay.
Just overall, because I think that makes him a more interesting character altogether. Because he's not a mustache trolling hero villain. He just gets into a really fucked up situation where he believes he's doing the right thing. He thinks he's safe. He pretty much does what Denzel Washington and Jesus Christ, Crimson Tide,
Gene Hackman
do. They both think they're right, and they both are, and they're both wrong. Now with Quaritch, he is a villain who gets a more nuanced approach to him. He sort of gets a little bit of these redeeming qualities that we talked about. And he is this badass villain that you sort of still hate, but you're seeing the change in him. Matty also mentioned, and I mentioned as well, the Tulkun Hunter, who is...
Fuck that guy.
I mean, he's just one of the most evil... But the thing with...
This is a better story.
He's
a better story.
I mean, he does more revolting things, but as a villain, he's not really he's not much of an adversary. So in that sense, I am actually going with The Abyss because I think Coffee is a more interesting approach to a character, to a villain. And I want him to be saved. I want him to be brought on top, above water. And sort of that he gets to be the same old him. I feel for him. So when he gets sort of killed, that's also another, great sort of twist by James Cameron, because he's not an evil guy. He just does evil things.
You love actually watching him
doing
die.
For the greater good.
When he does die, you see him in the capsule. And
you
see that look on his face, and he implodes. But you watch his face, and you can tell he's not evil. He's just something taking over his body away. And Lindsay and Bud watch him, and they almost feel the same way. Lindsay hates him for what he's doing, but I think she understands more than anybody else that he's just kind of psychotic and everything else.
So this hurts me very much. Everything in me wants to give it to The Way of Water, but I think Michael Biehn and the character Coffee is a more interesting approach.
All right.
I'm the one that's defending Avatar here. What is going on?
All right, let's move on. Better premise, better story. This one to me also, this one's an easy one for me. Again, I already said why I like the original Avatar story better than Avatar 2. I think Avatar 2 definitely was try to do too much, and also repeated a lot of the first beats. When it either repeated a lot of first beats, and then when it didn't, it was taking it too far in a direction that got not confusing but too layered, I think, as far as the story went, overcomplicated. I love the Abyss's storyline more, especially at the end when we figured out the whole storyline is that we have an alien race who is not from above space. We have an alien race who is living below the water. That's such a unique, and that's not something we see ever. That already immediately goes, wow, that's cool. And they're setting up probes. And in the middle of the Cold War, you get this whole like, okay, America versus Russia thing going on. But then you introduce this whole nother angle. And at the end of the day, you realize the aliens have been there forever. They are watching us, and they decide that they're going to give us a lesson, and they're going to give us a chance to go, listen, you guys are fucking up. We can fucking wipe you out right now. You better shape up your fucking ways. And to me, that premise, combining with the fact that you get the crew is such a, like, it's kind of like an Armageddon crew. It's not like a heroic crew.
Yeah, it kind of is.
It's not a heroic crew by any nature, man. It's a everyman blue collar crew. What a great representation of the human race. It's nobody special. It's just these regular human workers. I mean, yeah, they're smart. They're obviously,
it's like the Alien movies, kind of.
Yeah, in an absolute way. So it's a great Alien movie. It's a great part of Armageddon. So to me, the combination of those different factors make for a very interesting and not overdone story. And Avatar's weakest points, obviously, to me, are the stories, comparatively speaking. I got to give this the business of a much more interesting storyline to me. Than what Avatar gives. Avatar is giving me a whole lot of originality to it, which it's not necessarily to. You can have an unoriginal movie be a fun and be a good movie to watch. I mean, hell, Star Wars is Hidden Fortress to a degree. I mean, I get that.
No, it is. It is Hidden Fortress.
It is Hidden Fortress.
Yeah,
and I love Star Wars, so it's not a totally thing. But when you give me something that's original and new and some interesting twist to it, like having a villain who's not a villain per se, having no true like it's kind of a cool storyline to go with. So this one's got to be the Abyss for me.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to agree, because if you know me long enough, I've had the conversation multiple times. We are spending too much time looking up and not enough time looking below.
You've seen the Meg.
You've seen the Meg. You've seen Cloverfield. Like, we have no idea what's underneath there. But 100, 200 years from now, when we're gone, the human race is going to be looking for another place to go and populate. We are a fucking cancer that way. We are destroying the planet. But there is in the Abyss, there's an alien race that have been here longer than us. Yet we're gonna nuke them to Kingdom Come because they're a threat to our life. That is such a real life thing. That's just like, okay, you're a threat to us. We're gonna bomb the hell out of you. And yeah, that's just, for all we know, there could be an ancient civilization living down there.
God, I
we
hope
don't
not.
know.
Oh, they're not watching us now at this point.
No,
we're screwed. All right, cool. Jarvi, up to you.
I think the moment when they actually want to bomb the aliens in the Abyss is, again, Coffee doesn't really, he doesn't even know that they're aliens. Like, he still thinks that they're Russians, but that doesn't take away from the point that Matty said, that sort of humanity is so blinded by attacking first, strike first, you need to destroy your perceived enemy, that it just blinds them completely. So the way to approach this category, I think, is to strip away all the fluff that's mostly Avatar's side, and just talk about the story, kind of like an elevator pitch. And there's like no way that the Abyss is not going to take this category. This is a complete, tight, compact, great story. If you can tell the Avatar: The Way of Water story in a horrific way, and it'd be a totally terrible movie if James Cameron wasn't helming it and just someone fucks up the story and the characters. But the Abyss, even if it's a bad movie, it's going to be a cool storyline. Yeah. I feel like it's sort of like Event Horizon in a way, is kind of an interesting comparison, that it's not the greatest movie per se, but it's kind of really fucked up and awesome the way the story is told.
Have we ever done Event Horizon versus anything on here, by the way?
We haven't. I love that movie.
Event Horizon,
I know it's a weird one.
I can say that's one of Kim's favorite horror. Kim doesn't like horror movies, but Kim loves
Really?
Event Horizon. Yeah,
Oh,
Event Horizon
awesome,
versus
man.
Sphere or something like that. Maybe might be a good one to do at some point.
I haven't seen Fear.
Sphere.
Oh,
So
Sphere. Oh, I love that.
It's kind of a
Oh, that
similar
could work.
art in a way.
That could work.
All right, just sorry, throwing out there. So I'm sorry, Jarvi. So you're giving it to the Abyss as well, then? That's what I
Yes,
think.
this the premise. I mean, it's totally.
So we have reached the 6th category then, and that's better fist pump moments. Well, I know I
fist pump
started
again.
thinking about.
I'm kidding.
I
just have one thing written down. Only one thing written down.
One of the greatest fist pumps known to man. This sequence is the reason why the resurrection sequence for the audio listeners, the resuscitation sequence is my favorite sequence by far. It made me fall in love with Ed Harris's acting. That's what I watched. I'm like, wow, that is an awesomely acted scene. Here is this Joe Schmo guy faced with the end of losing his wife, who he actually obviously doesn't even necessarily like per se, but loves in a way. And holy shit, does he go off on her? And when he starts slapping, you never backed away from anything in your life. Now fight, bitch, you fight. And you're like, holy shit, this is fucking acting right now in a great James Cameron movie.
And he's not giving up.
Not giving up. There's no give up. There's no giving up in him. And that's not even the only fist bump. There's a couple of great Ed Harris fist bumps in there too. And one I want to bring up because no one ever thinks about it, but it's one of my favorite. There's two actually I'm going to bring up. And actually, I love the relationship between Bud and Lindsay. Love it so much. It actually makes me laugh the entire time and smirk at the same time. There's this one sequence where Bud gets so fucking pissed, runs into the fucking bathroom, takes his wedding ring off, throws it in the toilet, sits there for a second, goes down into the toilet, gets the big blue head. He actually comes to Navi for a second, gets a blue hair, gets a blue head, and gets it back. And what happens later on in the movie? The door closes right on the ring, and it saves him. That and the other relationship fist bump moment in that is they're together in the room together. Bud is sleeping, and Lindsay's there, and Bud starts snoring. And Lindsay, after, even though they've been separated,
turn to your side,
and it's still
Virgil.
But just rolls over like nothing is ever. It was just a great relationship moment. It's a small fist bump moment, but it's just kind of fun as well. And the final one I want to mention for the best, the one because we already mentioned our Avatar ones, the moment where Bud and Catfish, the big guy, have to swim underneath the ocean to get to where Michael Biehn's character is locked in the thing, and Catfish can't make the second swim. So Ed Harris comes, and Ed Harris has this confrontation. Of course, anytime you have Ed Harris versus Michael Biehn, it's an awesome moment. See The Rock, but this time Ed Harris is a Joe Schmo. Well, this guy's a Navy SEAL, so Michael Biehn gets the drop on him pretty easily. Even though Ed Harris does a pretty good job of fighting back, but there's that great moment where he's about to get killed. And also, you hear, "Hey!" and turn around. There's Catfish. Finally, has made his way. Boom! Knocks Coffee out. So good. So good.
Like the 80s sort of lunge that you get. You don't get lunge like that from
That's a great 3D moment right there. I've seen that in 3D. Seeing his
what did Ben and Drew call it last night? Old white guy fighting.
Old white guy fighting. That's really
old white guy punching.
Old white guy punching.
White guy punching.
Harrison Ford is great at it. Yeah, absolutely. It was Catfish was doing a good old Harrison Ford punch there. Knocked Michael Biehn on his ass. So I have many more fist pumps, but those are the ones I'll talk with as well.
I mean, I've only really got one. We talked about one with the pot exploding, Michael Biehn death, like it imploding, like just being crushed by that amount of water. It's fucking terrifying. But the moment where Bud and Lindsay, they're arguing and they're yelling at each other, and she's like, "Let's just think logically. Let's think logically." And Bud just yells, "Fuck logic." I was like, "Yep."
Is that before they're going underwater, or is that another?
Yeah.
The room's filling up at the time.
The fact that the hero has no idea. I love that the hero is not the intelligent one, not the one who's figuring out. He's like, "You're smarter than me. You figure this out." I love that aspect of it.
And she's like, "Let's think logically," and he's just like, "No, fuck logic."
Right.
And when it starts happening, it starts filling up. She goes, no, I can't do this. She starts panicking. She wants out of that situation, even though she knows there is no other way. It's such a human moment right there.
It is so beautiful. Such a beautiful moment. You know what? I hate to do it. I have to throw in one more that I love. The moment where Ed Harris goes down into the abyss. And she's like, "Oh my God, the gauge can be wrong. Come swim back. And he does. He's like, I knew it was one-way ticket. He's right. He meets the aliens, and all of a sudden they're all up there thinking he's dead. And all of a sudden he types, and she's like, "Wait, hey!" hey, come here. It's like, that's impossible. No, it's not. And he types out that blood bring me back on the air. It's so great. A great moment. I'm sorry.
The entire sequence when he's going down, like the way they're interacting, the way he starts just losing his words, everyone thinks he's gone, and then he's like, feel better. He comes back.
Talk to him, Lindsay.
Talk to him. Like, really
I think she starts, well, it's no, Lindsay.
Yeah.
Talk to him. Okay, so good.
And that was actually something that we could have talked about in the special effects, but it's kind of a weird thing to talk about in special effects. It's the fluid that is breathing, the fluid that actually contains oxygen and that lets him breathe underwater. So I Googled it. Apparently, there is a liquid that can be consumed to breathe.
Yeah.
That's a real
Brad
thing.
and Hannah, I need to know more about this.
But
Brad
they
and
didn't
Hannah,
use
you're watching
a
anything
real
more about
thing.
this?
They didn't use it. Ned Harris almost drowned. He actually punched James Cameron out after the.
I was going to ask you, did that really happen? Did
Ed Harris got
Ed
pissed?
punch him?
Ed Harris got pissed and punched Cameron out. He absolutely did. And at one point, he
of course he did.
He refused to do press for the movie because I guess the whole cast was pissed. Like Mary Elizabeth Mastrantano said, it was one of the hardest films to make, and it was like, "Fuck this shit! You're killing us at this point." But Harris did say, "You know what? I have nothing against Jim. I called him up later on, and we worked and we hashed it out. He's a great filmmaker. I'd work with him again at some point. Blah blah blah. But yeah, he did knock him on his ass. And you know what? Sometimes a genius director needs to get knocked on his ass every once in a while when it comes to the human part of the film." So
Jarvi's going to do that to Nolan next movie they make together.
I mean, we gotta give some credit here where credit's due to The Way of Water. I mean, we're all going with The Abyss in the fist pump category. I'm with you guys, but like I feel like The Abyss has that one scene that just overtakes every other scene in The Way of Water when it comes to a fist pump. But there's, like we talked about, the moments that are in The Way of Water, they're like more completer as an action movie visual moment altogether. But what The Abyss does so well is it's such a simple human moment where you don't need these effects. It's just the masterclass of acting with a great conclusion.
I like that.
That's just why it takes it.
Real quick, I'll say Ed and Chat PLD prefer the theatrical or director's cut.
There's only the director's cut.
Director's cut is by far better.
I
love
do director's cut on this show.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Honestly speaking, I love it. I'm glad that they're going to re-release it finally on Blu-ray and everything. They're working towards it now. They're actually going to have, because right now it's like not even available streaming. So we'll get the whole thing back. I'll be able to watch it. I've been watching it on DVD for Christ's sake. So like giving it a crisp, clean transfer and everything else. Mm-hmm. I can't wait to fucking watch this movie. Well, all right, guys, we have a final score here. And Ed Harris is happy. Ed Harris is happy he came in winner and new champion by a score of 15-3. 15-3. It is The Abyss.
So
the ultimate water movie. From
this
James
is
Cameron.
the best example of how the categories decided, because in no way in the world is The Abyss actually a better movie than The Way of Water, but the categories elevated higher.
Interesting point. I'm going to let that slide because I won, because The Abyss won, but I think The Abyss is a better movie.
But I could have gone like you, give everything to The Abyss, be like that, but I didn't. Mm-hmm. I was objective.
Well, hey, no, but let's be honest. I was objective. I thought about it. The only one I wouldn't have been, I would have hardly been objective about would have been Better Hero Go because of Ed Harris. Absolutely, I'll give that credit. But even so, I think I won. But everything else, if you look at the categories again, music, I was objective about that. I even gave The Way of Water the win, but I'm
talking more about myself.
Okay,
I could have.
Yeah. But I didn't want you to imply that I wasn't.
I think I defended it more than Jarvi did.
I was being objective. I did think, even though I did give it to The Abyss,
You gave one more, yeah.
So yeah, there it is, 15-3. There we go.
I tried, bro. I'm sorry, I tried.
All right, folks, there it is. There we go. The Abyss wins over Avatar: The Way of Water, which had won over Avatar 2009. But that's it for this week's show. We are running long, obviously, with the double duty action. We will be back next week. At least, definitely, these two will be back. Hopefully, I'm on call, so it depends on if I get called in or not. If I get called in, it'll be just these two. If not, then I will be joining you guys to do the best Christmas movie of all time. It is going to be Die Hard versus Lethal Weapon.
Yes, excited to do this. I am so happy. I can't believe we're doing Die Hard versus Lethal Weapon.
I'm very excited about that myself. I really hope I don't get called in because that's going to be a fun battle to have to face. I'm glad I get to watch it again, first of all. But you know what? I'm not a good host. I always forget to do this in the beginning of the episode. If you are here for the first time, hit that click, hit that like, hit that subscribe. Let us know you're here. Leave comments for us because that's the way we grow the channel out. We've done doing some great work there, and I really appreciate that. Of course, also, if you want to join the Patreon, patreon.com/PLD Products. We have a great crew, a great chat right now that's going on. We have a lot of fights going on in there, but they're all fun fights for the most part.
I haven't even looked in the chat right now because I know there's going to be some opinions.
It's packed. It's always packed.
I don't want to throw in. I got to shout out specific patrons at level: Danielle Ramirez, Allison Salamoni, Brandon Buckingham, Allison Salamoni, up to the producers level. So thank you very much, Brandon Buckingham, Brandy Parker, Jeff Alterman, John Lastrina, Kelly W, and Pardo Justin Dason, and the rest. I could not do this without you. I appreciate you guys so much. You really helped me keep the lights on. I got to tell you that. Also, real quick, I'll just throw a quick in there. We do have a couple of shows. We have Two Mediocre White Dudes on Film will return tomorrow. PJ and I talking about The Final Destination, the fourth film in the Final Destination series. I'm going to say it's not a happy episode. It's actually going to be our shortest episode because I'll give you a little spoiler. There's only so many ways we can say this movie is a piece of shit differently. We're not very big fans of this movie. But it is what it is. We have some fun. That's all I got to say. In fact, we do talk about Avatar Way of Water for the first 20 minutes, I think, too. So there goes on that as well. So there you can listen to that. Also, of course, Crown Jewels this week. We're doing Lily of the Valley from the Sheer Heart Attack album. We'll take a listen to that as well. And, of course, we are on Spotify, Apple, or you can find your podcast at PLD Projects. There's a chance I might be splitting them off into four separate podcast feeds instead of all in one. I haven't made that decision completely yet because in January, Matty, Gunner, and I are going to be starting up a Star Wars podcast. That's right, Star Wars podcast, the Holy Snokes. I'm going to have to check our thing back because I don't have that one graphic here, so I'm going to go over to this one. Holy Snokes, a Star Wars podcast. That's going to be nice. We're going to start with the Bad Season 2, and we will go from there as well. I think that's it. Anybody, Matty, where can the folks find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Matty Gunner, Instagram, Matty_Gunner. You can find my band Mourner on all streaming platforms and on social media at Mourner Band or Mourner.co. You can find me here every Tuesday going forward with these two gentlemen for class action, and now with Holy Snokes, which I'm very excited to do. Can't wait to start talking Star Wars again.
I can't wait either, my friends. Richard, where can the folks find you?
Facebook and Instagram at Richard-Erik with a K, Jarvi, and here.
There you go. Find me at Paul_Denuzio on Twitter. You can find us also at PLD Products on Twitter and Class Action on Instagram and Holy Snokes on Instagram as well.
Yep, at Holy Snokes Pod.
And also, you can find me around the space. I still work sporadically with the Action Guys. They are bringing Action Movie Anatomy back on a sporadic basis. I've been guaranteed a spot on the Rock episode, definitively, and of course. And beyond that, you can also find me helping out Christian Harloff with his Patreon. And you check that out. Sith Council today, he had an interview with Diego Luna, which was a very, very cool thing to get.
Oh, I haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah, interview with Diego Luna. It's pretty cool. But beyond that, that's it, guys. Also, we will see you next time.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas indeed. Until next time, goodbye, everybody. There you go. One last time for that. And now, goodbye.